Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, we take a closer look at early voting turnout in Victoria County.
The Calhoun County Sheriff speaks in front of the Texas House on a Homeland Security bill.
Plus, a bill to ban children from social media is advanced by Texas lawmakers. We'll take a closer look at the proposal.
And we have thunderstorms well north of us, but we are getting a little bit of a pop-up thunderstorm here, a bit of severe weather. What that means coming up in weather.
And tomorrow morning begins day one of the UIL state track. We'll highlight all the teams competing coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker.
With early voting over, we're taking a closer look at the turnout for Saturday's election.
25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with the Victoria County Election Administrator to learn what the numbers mean. Ray?
Yes, Shawna and Don, more than 2,000 Victoria County voters cast their ballot in person during early voting, and more than 200 ballots came in the mail. That counts for 4.5% of Victoria County registered voters. Elections Administrator Margetta Hill says the small numbers is expected, saying most people do not early vote. She also encouraged residents to vote in every election, regardless of how many items are up for voting or whether it's local or national.
You have a voice on the people that you in the community with. That's the voice of, going to be your voice, how you want to be represented, and it helps if you go out and vote.
If you didn't get out during early voting, your last chance is on Saturday, when polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. To learn more about where to vote and what's on the ballot, go to Victoria County website at vctxelections.org. Shawna, Dawn, back to you.
Well, if you did not vote early for our viewer poll today, we want to know what would make it more likely for you to do so in the future. Would it be longer hours, more locations for early voting, better information distributed, nothing? You just prefer to vote on Election Day, or you don't plan to vote early or on Election Day? Go to crossroadstoday.com to let us know. And right now, 43% of voters say that more locations would be more likely to get them to vote early, followed by 18% split between longer hours and I don't plan to vote. So continue voting, and we'll have a look at the results on 25 News Now at 10.
After weekend flooding, heavy rain continues to pound Oklahoma as the evacuations continue. The slow-moving system dropped record rainfall across much of the southern part of the state and parts of northern Texas. In Lexington, Oklahoma, residents had to be evacuated as floodwaters rose. Excuse me, closing several streets. In Wewoka, about 80 miles southwest of Oklahoma City, first responders conducted 4 water rescues from vehicles early this afternoon. Now we're hearing more reports of flooding in North Texas. Will it get that bad here?
I certainly hope not. We do need some rain, but nothing flood-worthy or anything like that. So let's go to Jacob Lozano for our first look at the forecast. Jacob.
We definitely need the rain, and there's actually a severe thunderstorm going on right there that's dropping close to golf ball size hail south of San Antonio, and there's the time frame of when it's going to be moving. It's moving at about 25 miles per hour, still maintaining a lot of strength, so we'll keep on monitoring this as we go on through the show to see where it will continue and end up. But thunderstorms are well across the Dallas region, starting to move down into the Houston area, where we could see some showers here tomorrow morning, just the tail end of that. But I'll have the full forecast coming up in the full weather report. Sean, Donna.
Thank you, Jacob. Texas lawmakers advanced a bill to ban children from social media. The Texas House passed onto the Senate a proposed bill alongside another bill that would require a social media warning label for minors. The House bill would ban minors from creating accounts on social media sites and require age verification for new users. In addition to restrictions on access, the bill would grant parents the right to request the deletion of their child's social media account, and a company must comply within 10 days. A bill clarifying when doctors can perform medically necessary abortions cleared the Texas Senate. The bill, which must still go through the House, received unanimous approval from the Senate. The bill is backed by anti-abortion groups, medical and hospital associations, and a bipartisan coalition of lawmakers. Texas laws ban all abortions except to save the life of the pregnant patient. The version of the bill that passed the Senate says a patient must be facing a life-threatening condition caused or made worse by pregnancy.
Calhoun County Sheriff Bobby Vickery was at the Texas State Capitol today representing our community in a key legislative hearing. He addressed the Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee about Senate Bill 36, a proposal to add a Homeland Security division under the Department of Public Safety. Sheriff Vickery shared the concerns and priorities of Calhoun County's citizens and law enforcement. It's one of several times he has spoken this session, showing his dedication to smart public safety policy.
A Texas business executive is preparing for his new role as an ambassador in the Trump administration. Tillman Fertitta was confirmed by senators to serve as ambassador to Italy. The Houston-based Fertitta is the owner of the Houston Rockets. He also owns the Golden Nugget and Landry's restaurants. Fertitta says he will give up his position with Landry's, but will still own the Rockets. Fertitta is a billionaire and has previously donated to President Trump and other Republicans. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Memorial Medical Center celebrates its 75th anniversary, and an Autism Day parade brings joy through the town. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com.
The Texas House has approved a bill that expands one of the state's most successful loan programs for the agriculture industry. That legislation, House Bill 43, now heads to the Senate for debate. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com. And remember that you can watch us on YouTube, our Crossroads Today YouTube channel. All you have to do to subscribe is hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, a former NFL superstar was reportedly behind the wheel of a golf cart when his longtime friend fell off and died.
Also ahead, President Trump reportedly has a new plan for sending migrants to foreign countries. The details after the break.
The Treasury Department says the U.S. and Ukraine have just signed a new natural resources agreement. That deal gives Washington access to Ukraine's untapped mineral resources. President Trump called it a form of payment for U.S. investment in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky was originally set to sign the deal back in February during a White House visit, but that plan unraveled after a tense meeting with Trump in the Oval Office.
Homebuyer mortgage demand took another dip as economic uncertainty continues to disturb the housing market. Despite the slight change in mortgage rates last week, home buyers continued to pull back amid concerns over the broader economy. The Mortgage Bankers Association's seasonally adjusted index shows applications for a mortgage to buy a home dropped 4% last week compared with the previous week. Meanwhile, applications to refinance a home loan also dropped 4% for the week. Hall of Fame quarterback John Elway was reportedly behind the wheel of a golf cart when a longtime friend fell and has now died. The Riverside County, California coroner confirming today that Jeff Spurbeck passed away.
Spurbeck used to be Elway's manager. As ABC's Zoreen Shaw reports, the incident is under investigation.
A tragic accident involving Hall of Fame quarterback John Elway, one of his close friends and business partner, Jeff Spurbeck, now dead after falling from a golf cart in La Quinta, California. According to TMZ, Elway was behind the wheel of the golf cart. It happened Saturday, CAL FIRE telling ABC News a person was transported with serious injuries to a nearby hospital. The Riverside County coroner confirming today that Spurbeck had passed away.
It was so scary. I mean, it Like, it was nothing like we've ever seen.
Allie Simon says she was leaving the secluded gated community right after it happened.
He was unfortunately lying on the ground, and there were people surrounding him, just trying to make sure he was okay. And people were on the phone, just trying to get help there as soon as they possibly could. It was so scary.
She says Elway was one of those on the phone calling for help.
As we were leaving, we heard the ambulance coming in. So it must have been probably 5 minutes.
Spurbeck was 62 years old and at one time Elway's agent. Elway played in the NFL for 16 seasons and won 2 Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos. The Riverside County Sheriff's Office says they have opened an investigation. So far, there is no indication that there was any wrongdoing. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The Trump administration is in talks with Libya and Rwanda regarding a plan for them to take migrants with criminal records. CNN reports White House officials also hope to reach an agreement to send asylum seekers apprehended at the border to Libya. Shortly after taking office, President Trump signed an executive order that directed officials to have asylum seekers sent elsewhere. This plan to remove migrants to Libya and Rwanda is expected to be challenged in court. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuerro Record. The Texas Rangers investigation into Kelly Phelps stemmed from a wreck. And a Cuerro Chamber of Commerce luncheon highlights the strong future of the ag industry. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. A Pittsburgh man died while trying to remove a downed power line from his vehicle.
The Pittsburgh Public Safety Department had warned people to be careful as there were lots of downed power lines that could be live. Jennifer Barrasso spoke to someone who saw the aftermath.
Dave was the humblest guy. He was such a kind man, 59 years old, unbelievable painter.
Eddie Young stunned after a man who was doing painting work for him on St. Martin Street got electrocuted. Young says he and the victim talked twice Tuesday, just as the storms were rolling through.
He said that the fire, we talked about the fire, you know, it was in front of his truck, the wire was arcing. And he said that it had gone down. He said it's not arcing anymore because it had gone up like to 6-7 feet, maybe 6 feet high at times.
Sources tell me a live wire fell on the victim's truck and he tried to move it with a stick. We were there when Young got a call from Pittsburgh police. You just got a call from Pittsburgh police?
Yes.
Who called you? What did they say?
One of the police officers, and wanted to know if I knew any of his family. But he was a really humble man.
One neighbor tells me she tried to call 911 but couldn't get through. Mike Bryan says he saw the grim sight.
I just walked down there and seen him laying between the car and the truck, and his feet were on fire and the wires were laying on top of him.
In the meantime, Young questioned how the scene was secured. He wants answers.
It was obvious it was shooting up flames from the ground. You know, no one should have been allowed near that. The police, the fire department drove by with the fire truck. And the police were at each end of the street. And from what I was told by the neighbor after I had left, that they had yellow caution tape around. I don't know why there wasn't somebody supervising that area, you know, and preventing anybody from walking up to the wire.
Well, we have a severe thunderstorm right along the 37 corridor that's making its way towards Karnes City, dropping some decent hail, and there's a little bit of spin up, but we'll talk about that coming up after the break. Well, good afternoon, Crossroads. We're looking at this supercell thunderstorm that has developed south of San Antonio. It's along 37 right now, and it's heading towards in between Carson City and Nixon, but it's dropping some big hail. It's what I'm hearing is about tennis ball size hail in that cell right there, and there's starting to be some little bit of rotation going on in it. We're going to keep watching this just in case something else happens with it, but right now it has been strengthening ever since it's crossed 37, so there is a lot of just heavy downpours, and right now hail, a severe thunderstorm warning has been in effect for that area. There is also that area that is moving more northeastward, but that's going to be going towards I-10, the I-10 area. So we'll continue watching and monitoring this throughout the entire show, as well as after the show as well. Now, the thunderstorm's main action was up there in the Dallas area, but we are going to be seeing a little bit of showers begin to start to move through here onto tomorrow morning. But right now, currently we have cloudy skies in the area, 82 degrees with south-southeasterly winds still blowing at about 24 miles per hour, and winds are continuing just to blow here out of the southeast. And those are going to continue for the next couple of days here as we start to see a diminishing here Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon. We'll start to get to about 15 miles per hour. But Friday, we're going to see a bigger shift of just heavier, stronger winds as we saw more or less today. But 23 mile per hour winds here around 2 p.m. We'll be getting up there. But there's that front line that's going to be making its way through, and that's going to give us our next rain chances in the area. But here Thursday morning, start to see some spotty showers pop up as that thunderstorm that was up there in Houston. We'll just get the tail end of that stuff is what it's looking like right now. But the European model here for Friday, for that front line, we're going to see a big drenching going on up in the hill country, which is desperately needed for the river, but just not necessarily all at once. So 5 o'clock Friday, we'll start to see those showers begin to push through. Now 11 o'clock is when we're going to see our best shot here in Victoria for the rain chances to move through as that frontal system makes its way across the region, and it'll be lingering for quite a little bit of time, but by the morning time we'll start to see just spotty to isolated showers there in Victoria, and it'll eventually be dying off, but we'll still keep that 20% chance as we go into the weekend. Now, rainfall totals, we're looking at not as much there in Port Lavaca, but Cuero, we're looking at for it to be the biggest chance of just a heavier downpour of, we'll see about an inch of rain there Saturday at 6 p.m., about half an inch here in Victoria over the next couple of days here. But temperatures are going to be a bit, let's just say, in the muggy here tomorrow morning. 75 degrees is what we're going to see in Victoria, but we'll get up into the 80s, maybe even pushing some 90s there in our western counties. But we're going to do this all over again, getting into the 70s in the morning time, and we'll be getting right around the 80s and 90s again, especially down the southwestern portion of our counties. But 87 degrees there in Victoria. Temperatures are going to be dropping, though, when that front moves on through. We'll be waking up into the 60s. We'll be getting up to, let's just say, the low 80s, high 70s for once here right before we get into the summer months. Now, mugginess is going to be consistent, but we will see that begin to drop down here going into the weekend, which is a little break for us because we desperately need just that little break now. But showers tomorrow morning here in Port Lavaca, 85 degrees with south-southeasterly winds here in Port Lavaca. Now, Cuero, cloudy with a possible isolated thunderstorm here, and 88 degrees as our high with partly cloudy skies and those winds coming out of the southeast at 15 miles per hour. But cloudy conditions as well in here. Victoria be a little bit warmer here by 3 p.m. Now, the next 7 days, I say 20% here, but Friday into Saturday evening into Saturday morning is when we're going to see our best chance of rain. We'll see about a 60% chance, but windy conditions are going to be there till we get into the weekend. Those winds begin to shift out of the northeast, but we're going to see 20% for the next couple of days after that. So don't forget to scan the QR code for more news, weather, and sports. And here's Shawna.
All right, now we send it over to Max Williams, and big recognition for one of our local coaches.
Absolutely, Shawna. After the break, we're going to talk about one area basketball coach, like we mentioned, getting big time honors from the Texas High School Coaches Association. Find out who that is coming up in sports. All right, Krauses, tomorrow morning starts day one of the UL State Track Meet at the University of Texas. And day one will consist of 3A and 4A schools. And Friday we'll have our 2A and 5A schools competing. And we're going to start to look at some of the 2A and 3A schools, which will compete there tomorrow. First, can't forget about the Ferriero Bobcats, who won the boys team last year. They won the state title. And current Texas A&M commit Ernest Flash Campbell was a star athlete to watch out for at the state track meet last year, but now the girls, though, are for Refugio, are the top ones to watch. Carly McLean and thrower Sierra Tilley, they've broken records, especially at the regional meet this past couple weeks ago there as well. Carly McLean broke the 200 and 100 meter records there at the regional meet. So also the 4x1 meter relay for Shiner has been huge too, because they also got Tristan Vesley, who's going to be running individually there in the 100 meter dash. Then for Goliad in 3A, the girls and boys teams will make noise with boys Lamont Franklin and Kiana Lee. And then Hallettsville also has got some big time names. Also, Yoakum's got Xavier Barnett and Trey Cuellar. All those people can be competing tomorrow afternoon. And finally, the Edna 4x200 meter team is going to have Braylon Harris, Keegan Hicks competing there for the 4x200 meter relay final. Now, what about some 4A teams? Well, the Cuero Gobblers are going to be highlighting this field there for tomorrow as well. The girls 4x100 meter relay consisting of Emery and Moriana Da Silva and Taryn Gale and Marciana Walker, also all the competitors competing in the 4x1 for the girls. And then Paisley Jansen's going to compete in the high jump there for Cuero. But then Bay City's also got the boys 400 meter dash as well with Jada and Javius Andrews, Zylan Williams, and Kamarian Wiggins. And finally, El Campo, they're going to have one individual competitor with Madison Holmes competing in the 100 meter dash. Now, speaking of Cuero, women's head basketball coach Amy Crane was announced the Coach of the Year for Region 7 for the 2024-2025 Texas High School Coaches Association. This award is well deserved for Crane after the Lady Gobblers made history this past basketball season, reaching their first ever state championship, going 33-7 overall. And Crane always mentioned to us she wanted her teams to be disciplined and resilient when they were on the court, and they absolutely did. And congrats to Crane for getting this award this season. Now, before we talk about the Rockets and the must-needed game they got to get tonight against the Warriors, we're going to shout to El Campo baseball player James Dortzik, who was named the Prep Baseball Player of the Week. He had a total of 7 hits with 7 RBIs and 2 home runs to make him this week's Player of the Week. And he and the Rice Birds will be facing the Beeville Trojans for Game 1 of a 3-game series. It's going to start this Friday at 7:30 p.m. at Beeville High School. And now let's get to those Rockets, shall we? They're in a must-win game tonight versus the Golden State Warriors. They're in Houston. The Warriors are currently up 3-1, and the Rockets, they're going to need some production from Jalen Green, who only scored 8 points in Game 4. And Seguin, also, he was a dominant player, of the star defensive player. He's going to have that battle against Draymond Green. If he wants to win that, they're going to have to get the job done. We'll have those full highlights and the score later on for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don and Shawna, back to you.
All right, Max, and we're back in a moment. A storm chaser came to the aid of a group of stranded motorists in North Texas. Finally tonight, coming to the aid of stranded motorists in North Texas Tuesday, a storm chaser. It happened in Wichita Falls during severe thunderstorms with triple-digit wind speeds. The storm chaser helped stranded motorists after their vehicle ended up in a roadside ditch. He also aided a truck driver after his semi overturned near Seymour. The driver of the semi was taken to a nearby hospital. So for the viewers, Jacob, who don't know what a storm chaser does, give us a little idea there.
Well, we desperately need those types of people because they definitely give us vital information on what's actually going on the ground, but they're actually tracking more than just eyewitnesses. They're actually doing some scientific data with some of that stuff. So sometimes they'll have equipment for that, so we can better understand tornadoes and just severe weather and stuff like that.
So do they go through training to really understand weather and kind of the equipment they're using?
I think they might just be people that were like, oh, let's be crazy and let's just go do it.
Are they going to be chasing storms here?
I'm sure they're chasing up right now in Dallas because there's a lot of tornadic activity that's going up around that area. There's actually a lot of severe weather going on right now. If we take a look right here, we actually have a supercell thunderstorm that's was dropping tennis ball size hail in the area, and it's actually making its way towards Karnes City. So there's the time frame of when we can see that next. So.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight at 10.